You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Caitlyn Clark, Nike. What's really going on with that endorsement deal? Should Nike be doing more? We'll have that, questions, and more we'll answer for you on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? It's a beautiful morning. Wanted to go over Caitlyn Clark and Nike and what Nike's not doing or how they're not doing it and what way could they do it differently. That's really what I want to establish today and really get into it because you got Caitlyn Clark and you got the WNBA is turning itself upside down right now. That'd be probably my best politically correct statement. The WNBA is turning itself upside down, and you got Caitlyn Clark. And to the Indiana Fever fans, I always have a lot of respect for you. At the end of the day, I still have to do the job objectively. So when I look at it, I want to really have you understand. But let's get into this and understand. Caitlyn Clark, Nike. That's the biggest fish in the pond right there, right? And I really went over how Caitlyn Clark, how you going to market Caitlyn Clark, and you have to have athletes who are in like mind, like brand image, also have the ability that the NILs has given the new athlete today fan base that current WNBA players just don't have, right? Because you got Caitlyn Clark's probably got 2, 3, 4 million followers. I mean, you're talking to millions of people follow Caitlyn Clark. Nike puts out a basketball, sells out in a couple minutes. Nike knows they put out the signature shoe. It's going to sell out in a couple minutes, right? So at the end of the day, everybody's saying, well, wait a minute, why don't you do more? Why don't you do more? They can't. They can't do more. And it's unfortunate, but doing more, it's on its way. Now, you got Kathy Engelbert. Boy, I'll tell you something. Kathy, I salute you just from the standpoint that, this has been a really tumultuous year, probably of all she's ever seen in the WNBA, the amount of questions he has to answer. I mean, she's got a pretty tough job navigating a ship that wants to turn into the Titanic ship and also working in partnership with Adam Silver. And for Adam Silver, he's actually, just kind of trying to be patient. Patient is what Adam Silver is trying to be because at the end of the day, the NBA knows what they're doing. And everybody who feels the NBA doesn't have fans or anything, that's not true, folks. Every fan that's a fan of the NBA knows the first couple weeks of the season, even the NBA League Pass says, hey, go ahead and try out the product and see it, right? So the guys just kind of do what you call a casual dance, and then they get closer to that All-Star break, and things get a little bit more serious. But the NBA and the viewership and everything, it's always been the same. It'll have a pretty much a passive start at the beginning of the season, and then as it develops and fans get more exposure, and again, this is to the rookie players, the new players coming in, then the growth and audience watch grows up. Now, obviously what the NBA and Adam Silver want to do, they want to have a peak performance all the way down to the NBA finals. So what really is happening now, they're just warming up. And remember, you've got some great partners. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The NBA has great partnership, and I'm going to tell you how that relates to Caitlyn Clark. Because with the partners that they have and his choice to go with Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and that really is about scalability, technology. You have AI involved now. So you got to be with the partner that can share the equal responsibility. And that's what Amazon could do. Now, as you talk about AT&T, AT&T, John Stanky, I know that business came out of AT&T, business account manager dealing with corporate enterprise business and CEOs. So at the end of the day, John Stanky has to sit there and say, okay, I'm a partner with Adam Silver. How do we bring this partnership together? And this is something players have got to understand. You'll understand this with Caitlyn Clark as well because you got the Olympics coming, right? And so what's going to happen? I mean, that's not a one-day preparation for the Olympics. And there's only one communication one brand out there that can do what the United States Olympics needs to do today in America, especially in Los Angeles. And that's why AT&T is the brand sponsorship sitting on the WNBA, because they're going to put all the infrastructure in, right? So you're starting to deal with partners, and a lot of times the partners can look at things from a different light, and they want to accomplish more, but the players have to be in agreement. And I don't ever know if that will or will not happen. But let's get back to Caitlin Clark, because here's the deal. Caitlin Clark is a corporate enterprise business model marketing dream. Caitlin Clark was a business major in college, marketing. So Caitlin understands everything that's going on, and Caitlin Clark is extremely marketable, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, you can go in just about anywhere, whatever brand or anything she signs on, it's immediately going to be marketable, and that is what Nike understands. That's what Kathy Engelbert understands, and I'll tell you from the CEOs, right? Because you can go down the list. I can walk you right on down the list of CEOs. You're going to have you got AT&T John Stanky. You're going to have AT&T Elliott. You're going to have AT&T who's soon Disney, who's soon to be making a change in leadership. Looks like you got Eigner, right? So all these are partners who are part of the NBA and the WNBA. Now, when you get that, this is what's going on, and here's why Caitlin has been unable to be marketed. And this is the main reason. The NBA has what it calls Rushmore. Mount Rushmore. And when you look at that from the standpoint of Caitlin Clark, you could only market Caitlin with players that are going to be on Mount Rushmore. You can't degrade the product, right? And that's where I always cautiously walk with the WNBA players, because there's no way you could be on Mount Rushmore. When you look at Mount Rushmore, right, and you look at the guys that are on there, you have to understand this about everybody that's sitting there. They're all billionaires. They're all billionaires. Now, how did they get there? Because they made themselves available to be marketable, right? They weren't out there causing havoc. They weren't out there fighting. They're not jumping in press conferences, cussing people out. Okay, these are individuals. Now, you take a look at this list. Mount Rushmore, you got right here. And there's other players as well beyond this, because this is always a disputed argument. But I'll just start right here. You got Michael Jordan, billionaire. Kobe Bryant, billionaire. Yeah, you got Shaquille O'Neal, billionaire. And you got Magic Johnson, billionaire. Why? Why are these individuals billionaires? And when it comes to Caitlin, right? Because they came into the league with the intent of understand you must be marketable. If you take yourself out of the ability to market, then the corporate sponsor, Nike, there's nothing they can do with you. It's an impossible task, really. And that's what I mean. They're throwing money. You can't throw money out into something that is not going to get an ROI. It's not going to get a return. And the NBA, I tell you, seriously, getting debt financing, they're getting private equity lined up. I mean, there's a lot of changes going on, but let's stick with it. Caitlin Clark is on Mount Rushmore. Now, let's break it down. That's Nike's Mount Rushmore. Who else is on that? I'm going to tell you right now, Paige Bueckers, right? Paige Bueckers is on Mount Rushmore. Paige Bueckers is such a good basketball player, and the fact that she's coming into the WNBA. And when you belong on Mount Rushmore, let me kind of explain that a little bit, because you got Gino and everybody. And this is as clear as day. If you don't have fans, here's the number one thing I'm going to say, and this may come across wrong. You got to get into the context, the content. If you don't have fans, the WNBA really doesn't have a use for you. I mean, why would the WNBA need you if you don't have any fans? If you don't have a following on NIL, and I look you up and you got 1,000 followers, 2,000, 5,000, whatever you got, if you're not in the millions, really, why would the WNBA need you? Because now you have college basketball. Everybody you draft is coming in with an NIL, with following and fans. So this situation is really different. Now, let me tell you who's else on Mount Rushmore. Juju Watkins, right? Juju Watkins is on Mount Rushmore. So the reason Nike can't push it, these two are still in college, but they're going to figure out a way to get this done, because when you have Caitlin, She has to be aligned to somewhere like Juju Watkins and someone like Paige Bueckers. That's it, folks. You don't go below that. You don't go below that. And when you got individuals doing all these things and you got Unrivaled, why would Nike want Caitlyn in Unrivaled when these players are getting violations, having a law firm come in and do negotiations, talking and speaking about who you are, how privileged, who's privileged, and what you're doing? Nike wants nothing to do with that. Nike is the global ambassador. Juju Watkins is a global basketball ambassador. There's no doubt about it. It's the same thing. I mean, how good is she? Caitlyn scores a lot, but Juju just went in and broke the record, right? But that's here nor there. It's just the fact that how marketable you are. Now, let me go a step further because this is really tough because you got Candace Parker, right? You got Candace Parker coming in here, and you got Special K, right? So you got to look at that and say to yourself, I got Special K. All right. Now, what did Candace Parker have to do? Candace Parker had to go all the way down to a 16-year-old, right? And there's two reasons. One, Adidas wasn't in grassroots, and they knew we better get in this because we're going to fall behind. But it's challenging for Adidas because now look how far down they didn't. Adidas didn't walk in there. And this is where you got to really get it. Candace Parker did not walk in there and put a stamp on a WNBA player saying, you're going to be the one that sells the most shoes. You're going to be the one that's going to be able to manage the grassroots, and you're going to be the one that's going to be on Mount Rushmore. She had to go all the way down to a 16-year-old basketball player, okay, to land a major, major NIL deal. And this is the facts of life, folks. This is not nothing I'm making up. And when you're here on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast, folks, we just are moving in the right direction. It's getting close to Christmas. We have the YouTube contact me, and we've got the affiliate program. So I got a lot of good Adidas things on there. Take a look at them because the landscape's changing, and the landscape changing not only in the NBA, it's changing on YouTube. Everybody landscape, they want the people who are the best in the business. And if you're the best in the business, then we can market you, and there's things you have to do to be marketed, right? So when you look at Special K and you look at these things and you talk about Candace Parker, right, Tennessee, Candace Parker is a first-class individual. Candace Parker hang out with the guys, enjoy it, hang out with D-Wade, Shaq, get all those guys on there. And they ain't going to talk no higher basketball than Candace Parker, right? But you come out of Tennessee, okay, you got Pat Summitt, man. You got to realize some things that really about this game and what it values and how you can embarrass yourself, right? So you got this going on. Now you got to go a step further because you got to look at Nike. And whenever Nike has partners, right? So, and everybody said, okay, you signed Caitlyn, you didn't sign her enough. That's not the case, folks. That was changing. I'm going to come back to that in just a little minute. And I want to tell you what really Nike wants to do with Caitlyn Clark. And I'll tell you a little bit on the end, but I want to walk this through. Okay, so Nike, you sign with Nike. What's the value? Because Nike has partners. So you see what happens when Caitlyn signs? She's under Nike. Okay, she also has the PGA, right? So that's a Nike partner. That's a commercial right there, folks, believe it or not. So that's why you're seeing the PG&A are actually there, right? They're actually a major sponsor. Now you see Caitlyn going over there to the NFL. What is Nike? A major sponsor in the NFL. So when you have these type of partnerships, don't just think you're signing a contract with Nike. You're signing a contract that's not only get you paid from Nike, but Nike has other partners who want to pay you too. And that's the important thing you have to understand because Caitlyn Clark is a generational player. Paige Bueckers, generational player, right? That's what Candace Parker is sitting there. And when you have generational players, these are players here, folks. They're a mile above everyone else. I will tell you this. I watch Cage. Let me tell you this. Paige Bueckers is a generational talent. Paige Bueckers is probably the most efficient basketball player I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a player do what Paige Bueckers does, right? Because she is so efficient that every movement that she makes will be the shortest steps possible. Whether I'm shooting the jump shot, whether I'm actually handling the basketball, whether I'm setting it up, Everything Paige Bueckers does is extremely efficient, and she is a generational talent. So you got two different players here. You got Caitlyn Clark and you got Paige Bueckers, right? So everybody's gonna say, well, Paige Bueckers not this or that. Don't be fooled, man. Paige Bueckers and Caitlyn Clark knows it because real basketball players know real basketball players. And the difference between the two in about a 30-second scouting report, you got Paige Bueckers is a better shooter than Caitlyn Clark, right? Now, but that doesn't mean very much because I go back to Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a better shot maker, right? There's no doubt about it. So, I mean, you can't have one without the other because there's no way Paige Bueckers could make the shots that Caitlyn Clark would. But if it comes to just pure shooting, mechanics, elbow, perfect shot, put it in the book, teach it in America, that's Paige Bueckers, right? Now, you get to Paige Bueckers stronger. She's stronger than Caitlyn Clark, right? But that's okay. That doesn't really matter because your strength won't stop Caitlyn because Caitlyn is faster than Paige Bueckers, right? She's much faster than Paige Bueckers. So, and she's doing it on a move, which makes Caitlyn Clark a shot maker, and Paige Bueckers is a shooter, right? So now when you get all this coming in and you do it, and then you get the Juju, well, Juju does all that and some more. Okay, strength, speed, shot maker, you name it, Juju does all that and more. And I'll tell you this, that's why I say Caitlyn is a major piece on the chessboard, right? She's a major piece. And Juju, major piece on the checkboard, right? And then you coming in there and you got Paige, another me. So what does Nike want to do? Nike wants to put them all together, folks, and call it Mount Rushmore. Why is that? Let me tell you how the game is played and how it goes down. Okay, you got Indiana Fever, you got Iowa Nike School. You go over there to UConn. UConn is a Nike school. You go over there to USC. USC is a Nike school, right? So everybody's partnered in, and this is where grassroots comes. Because really, you're going to end up wherever they pick you up. Now, you got Adidas, so I can tell you now that, when it comes time to Special K-16, she graduates and everything, she'll be under the brand of an Adidas school, right? So there's already one picked out for it. They're not going to wait. They're already building that relationship, right? So you're moving that forward, and now you got three of the best, right? You got Caitlyn. Everybody's going, well, man, Mike, why aren't they doing anything with Caitlyn, right? Why aren't they doing anything? Oh, they're doing a lot with Caitlyn right now. They are doing a lot with Caitlyn. That's why Caitlyn, people are saying, well, why is she not in the gym? Caitlyn's got some off-season management duties and responsibility. She's got to travel around. That's why she's at PGA now. Now with Caitlyn, I love Caitlyn Clark, but I can tell you this right now. Ooh, that scared the lights out me the other day at the OG PGA golf. And the reason why, normally you get the fairways, right? And when you go to you go to a golf event, PGA golf event, you got the LPGA. Normally the fans line up and they trust the pros, right? They trust you to go ahead and just rip that ball, right? Because you've been doing it so long. Now, I can tell you this, God is on Caitlyn's side because I seen that happen as a tragic accident before. When you shank a ball and that hits somebody, man, that could pretty much knock you out, right? I mean, it's because that ball's traveling at a speed, and the Angels let that ball go through. I mean, everybody thought it was funny. That's not funny. All right, I bet you now you're going to see some other people. I will never go up and stand and watch Caitlyn. I'll stand behind Caitlyn because anytime you shank a ball and hook it, right? I mean, but it is what it is. But she's such a talented. So what do? You got Caitlyn goes to PG&A. Caitlyn goes to NASCAR. Caitlyn goes to NFL. Caitlyn goes to State Farm. All these places are major partners with Nike. That's how that it works, folks. It doesn't just you sign one and then they do everything. They have partners too. So what is it they're looking for? The Mount Rushmore, and they're going to find it. There's no doubt about it. You got Kathy Engelbert, Adam Silver. I mean, they're tough cookies in the game, man. And this thing here, I'll tell you another little secret that nobody really is thinking. But if they have an opt out, okay, if they have an opt out, the big question is should Caitlyn Clark cross that line, right? Because at the end of the day, I thought about something. I sat back and I thought about it. I said, hey, man, this one here is going to get so good because if the players, here's the negotiation. Normally, what happens when players walk out okay, and it really doesn't stop the league, right? But this is so dangerous for the WNBA players and the Players Association because see they can get their own hand forced, and because everybody's talking Caitlyn this, Caitlyn that. Well, you can get your own hand forced because you got Angel Reese, Caitlyn Clark, right? So here's the deal: if the WNBA players walked out, the WNBA owners have a right to go get replacement players. They have a right to go get replacement players to replace those players because they still have season tickets. They got a duty and responsibility to the fans. Now, here's the thing that's really going to get interesting because the college women's game is so big that they have enough replacement players to come in with Caitlyn and whoever else is involved in the league that wants to play basketball. And the fans are going to appreciate that because those players are not individuals. Those will be players who were teammates, team members, who are willing to come in and keep the league going, right? So that one's going to get real interesting. But I wanted to bring that to you because a lot of things are going to be in the works. Oh, yes. You're talking about the WNBA and you're talking about Kathy Elderbird. I already told you how does Kathy Elderbird sleep at night? I don't know. Adam Silver, he's seen the song and dance. It's nothing new to him. Okay, so and for everyone, the WNBA, you better be very, very grateful that David Stern wasn't the commissioner because he didn't have as much flexibility as Adam Silver does. Caitlin, you're talking Mount Rushmore. That's right. Who's on Mount Rushmore? The best of the best. And that's just the way the game is played. There's others that should be up there, but here's a good quick list. You got Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Magic Johnson. They're all billionaires, folks. So you got to understand what Mount Rushmore and Caitlin Clark going to be a billionaire, but then you got old Paige Bueckers. Ain't no doubt about it. Generational talent and playing over there at UConn, which is a Nike school. You jump on a little bit down the road, you got Juju, who is just Juju. And when you get it in, ain't nobody better than Juju. And it's all about I love L.A., no doubt about it. But we're going to go a little lower than that. We got Special K. Candace Parker's had to dig down deep. Had to go there and sign a 16-year-old player. Is going to be rocking and stocking with Adidas. She is now a franchise player. And that's what Candace Parker does, Adidas women's basketball. Ain't nobody does it better. But we're going to get it in because the NFL is spreading around the partnership. PGA, Caitlyn Clark, they got you. They're not going to lose you because Nike loves what it does. He's got cross brands, and it's going to keep on moving, right? So it is what it is. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast, and all things are possible to those who believe. We'll see you soon.